Welcome to No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
I'm Jason Hill.
And I'm James Blackburn.
And on this week's episode, we're going to talk about water. And the whole goal of this show is...
Hey guys, sorry I'm late.
Oh, hey.
We're here to talk
Here's
about
Danny.
water. Whew. All right, well, I drink water like it's going out of style, so I was thinking, water, wait, the episode.
Yeah, water's
sorry,
important.
Sorry guys, sorry.
So, did you have a story or something?
Well, I mean, as far as water goes, I mean, I used to live in Alabama, and back in 1995, our house was totaled in a tornado, and we lived with tornado watches and warnings all the time, and so every time, we would end up getting those warnings, we were always then doing all the kind of preparations that you would want to take if you know a storm is coming. Mm-hmm. And so in our case, we had water already set up, but in that case, it was actually kind of late, so we had a lot less water than we had anticipated. But
what were some of the things that you did, since you knew that you needed to store some water?
Usually, what we always like to do when you know that a storm is coming is, in our situation, I mean, we knew what water we had, so we had city water, mm-hmm. and so we knew that if the power went out, there was still a limited amount of water versus a well, and you think, my pump doesn't work. And so we would fill up our tubs. My mom and dad are both avid antique collectors, and so we always had a pitcher and wash basin in every bathroom that we would then fill the pitcher up with water so we could wash our hands. We would fill up all of the empty water bottles we had. We would try and fill up stock pots with water and whatnot. That way we could have as much water as possible, because the way I was always taught, you always want to have a gallon of water per person per day.
At a minimum.
Exactly, sure. At a minimum, because that also includes drinking, cooking, and bathing.
That's right. And so, yeah, as far as if you know in advance that you're losing your water, which is rare, but if you do, the bathtub is mm-hmm. great. And they do sell these big plastic containers that you can fill up. But if you don't have one of those, just fill that bathtub up anyway. Mm-hmm. You can always boil and filter the water.
Yeah. And you could do the same exact thing to fill up the sinks in the house as mm-hmm. well.
The sinks?
Another one. And one of the techniques that we showed in our last episode is plastic containers for water.
Yeah, I have this over there.
I have this big one right here.
I swear you just like lifting that thing up.
I do. It shows how strong I really am.
That's why I put it on that side.
Yeah. So this is another technique for saving water and storing it in an emergency situation. 5 gallons right here, fresh mm-hmm. and ready to go.
And these containers are very durable, so you can bang them around. They're going to stay and prevent...
Drop them usually, they're fine. Not from 2 stories.
Just don't drop it on your foot.
Another neat little trick is, anything you might not normally think of as a vessel that will hold water, but like your trash can. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, it's always got a trash bag in there, but pull the trash bag out and you fill that with water. Again, you can boil and filter it later. The object is to just have some water in case mm-hmm. You're going to lose it.
Yep.
And you can buy bottled water and stockpile and everything else. But those are just some neat little tricks for when you know it's going to be mm-hmm. gone or turned off.
Something else I was always taught as well is if you buy bottled water, that's great, but you don't want to keep it in the sun. And if you keep it in any particular long time, it doesn't hurt the water, but it kind of affects the taste a little bit because of the plastic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just then getting a little finicky.
Now, when we come back from the break, we're going to discuss the ways that if you don't know in advance and all of a sudden your water is shut off, what do? How are you going to acquire water, and how are you going to filter and purify it? We'll talk about that as soon as we come back.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Up to 40% of businesses never recover after experiencing a major disaster. Make a plan at ready.gov/business.
So this is my computer?
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. If I say dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again now.
That's it. Jamaica, here you come.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
Don't you be talking about my mama. If you got something to say, come down and Filtration, where you can air all your frustration. Don't forget it's a public venue, UABQ. So watch your mouth.
Packers, Vikings,
Red State, Blue State.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
But when we live united, we create real lasting change in the education, income, and health of our country.
United.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
My name is Fernanda. I'm the wife of a teacher. Budget cuts affected my husband's salary, so I'm picking up some part-time work. We're doing everything we can to make sure our kids eat today. Tomorrow, I just don't know. Fernanda, how'd I do?
Well, I usually fold the underwear first.
I meant the acting, but good to know.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Hi, welcome back to No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
I'm Jason Hill.
And I'm James Blackburn.
Now, on our last segment, we discussed some ways to have water if you know in advance that they're going to shut it off, which is actually pretty rare.
Yeah, exactly. We don't always get an advance warning that an emergency situation is coming. So we have a few techniques that we can show people, or describe at least, for situations when the water is gone unexpectedly.
Gone.
Yeah.
You go home, you turn on the faucet, nothing.
Yep.
What do?
Well, and as we've said this before, water is the source of life. Without water, you won't survive more than a day or two, so it's very important to have this. So a few techniques are, well, rain barrels.
Rain barrels are fantastic.
And do you have a rain barrel at your place?
I do. And what's great about it is, some people use trash cans or they use these big 50-gallon barrels and just have your gutter go into it with a filter. And you can even put a little faucet at the bottom and run a hose. But the idea is to be able to just collect the water, and then later you can filter and purify it.
Exactly. So the container that it's stored in, it just has to be able to hold the water because it can be cleaned later, no matter how dirty the water might be.
Yeah, and that's great, because 50 gallons rainwater and you don't have to do anything; it just sits there.
Yeah, and you collect it just without a cost in a dime, just whatever the barrel costs itself.
That's it, nature.
So another technique is for folks to have bottled water in the house, in the pantry. Just have yourself a case of that stuff sitting around, because if you had 24 bottles of water and you had no water in your home, that you'd be like gold.
Yeah, and at the price, $2 or $3 for a case of water.
Yep.
You should have numerous of them. Stack them up in your garage. Have not only a couple days, but even a week or two. We've seen numerous natural disasters where the response to get the help to some of these people is actually weeks.
It is, and so if you're not prepared and you're not thinking about these things in advance, it could be a troublesome situation for you.
That's right.
Which brings me to the next thought on water is you can actually drain your hot water heater if you need to, right?
Absolutely. And there's water in there, like 30 gallons or different sizes.
Right.
But there's a little valve at the bottom, and you can open that up and put a bucket underneath there and just drain that water out. And it's a great emergency water source that's already in your home that most people don't think about.
Which brings us to the next thing that I was thinking of, is that you could still have water in the lines as well, which is similar to it just being stored there, like in a hot water heater, but in the lines itself.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where, unfortunately, if you go to your kitchen sink and you turn it on and it runs for a few seconds and then shuts off, you've kind of wasted that water that was in the line trying to figure out your water shut off. Right. But you might be able to then go to the bathroom sinks, get a container. If there's any pressure in the line, you might be able to get a little bit of water out of that. And even if it's a glass of water, that's a good glass of water.
Right, and I wouldn't even thought of that particular thing, that there is extra water already in the lines to start with. Mm-hmm. Now, can you tell me and the audience a little bit about the transpiration then?
Yeah, transpiration is a really neat process where you kind of let Mother Nature do the work for you. And what it is, if you have a plastic bag, kind of like a trash bag, and you wrap it around the green branches of a tree, So you find yourself a tree with lots of green leaves on it, and you wrap it around and you tie it off.
Right.
And what happens is the sun will heat that up, okay? And to put it in simpler terms, the leaves are going to sweat out their moisture. And when they do, it's all going to condensate on the inside of that bag and drip down to the lowest point. And so after a day in the sun, you can actually have a whole bunch of water in there, and you can drink that. It doesn't have to be filtered or purified at all.
We're talking about transpiration, and I haven't actually tried that technique in the field yet, but I think next time I'm out, I will try it just to learn how to to that.
Gives it a nice green flavor,
Yeah.
I imagine.
So, we got our beginner's box.
I do.
Beginner's box!
Beginner's
box! Woo!
I need some kind of noisemaker. I sound so anticlimactic compared to you guys.
So what all do we have in the beginner's box?
So today's beginner's box is all about water and water purification.
That's right.
Acquiring water. So let us actually go, talk to me. What is this for?
That's for doing the water heater.
Okay. All right. So with some models of water heater, I mean, you can't really just crank off anything yourself. So if you have a wrench, that way you can open it up, get the water out. And sometimes the water might be, depending on how old your machine is, a little rusty. I mean, that's a maybe. So
But
don't
still
forget,
cleanable, though.
Keep it, exactly. Yeah. It's still potable. Just keep it clean. This is a really
That looks
nifty thing.
interesting.
Yeah,
I'll
if you want to
help
pop
you.
that open.
Let me see this tank here.
Yeah, this is a neat little stove.
Looks like a dental tool or something. Yeah.
What's cool with this is you just thread it on here, and it's got a little clicker. It'll automatically ignite. And it's a fuel source so that you can take your pan, rest it on there.
Boil your water.
Once you open that up, and boil your water.
This works nicely if you are in one of those places where you don't necessarily have a fireplace, and if your electricity goes out, great way to boil your water.
Yeah, because that's really
water.
important is to have clean water to drink. So having a backup source that you can do that with is really important.
Sweet.
So this guy that's sticking right out is bleach. I mean, you can use just whatever kind of bleach. Don't use too much. You use, I believe it's a tablespoon per 5 gallons.
Teaspoon.
Teaspoon. Oh my gosh, I'm going to kill you. It is a teaspoon per 5 gallons of water. And then after you put the bleach into the water, it's good to save, to wait a half an hour, give it that time to really kind of purify the water, and then it's completely safe to drink.
That's right.
Then we have, this is what's called a sterno. So all you have to do, if you just pop it open, you can use, just can opener, pair of scissors, whatnot. There's a fuel source in here, and you can just light it up. And this is similar to this guy, to where you can use it, just put a pot of water on, and then it boils up.
Yeah, and I think restaurant supply places sell these like in bulk
Yes.
for
Yes, they do.
banquets and
Exactly,
stuff like that.
those big buffet things that they do where the heat's
Hotels.
underneath, yeah.
Perfect. This, actually, do you want to explain what this is? This is the
Well, this
Sawyer
is a
filtration?
water filter, and basically you're going to attach it, and you fill this up with your dirty water. You put that on there, and then you're going to squeeze that out into a container, and it's drinkable
Completely
water.
safe to drink. Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
This last little
Very
guy.
simple.
All right. Wah! I was afraid that was going to happen. This, we have just a few different water filtration tablets, right? So
Yep.
what are the differences between these, or is there any difference?
Yeah, there's a couple. One is actually kind of for like flavor, because water, when you treat it, can kind of taste really bad.
Yep.
But this one here is just, you add 2 tablets to a quart of water. You wait 5 minutes and you kind of shake it up, make sure it gets on the cap, and then you wait another 30 minutes, and that treats a quart or a liter of water.
Nice.
Very cool.
All right.
And then
Show
this
me
here,
this.
this is just a water straw, okay? And I love these because I take them camping, but you can walk up onto a muddy puddle and just stick it down in there and start drinking
Filters
away.
it out right
and so
away.
just that filters out enough to where it's potable,
Nice.
completely potable?
Yep,
That's intense.
Yeah,
Man,
it's
the
awesome.
the things they invent nowadays, that's...
And there are a variety of different filtering devices that I've seen over the years, and they all seem to do the same nice job of getting out anything that could make you sick. which obviously, dirt don't hurt, but bugs do.
Yeah.
So,
yep. And especially the little bugs that you can't see.
Yeah, the little tiny ones, yeah.
Now, we covered our beginner's box items, and we're going to actually have a contest in the last segment of the show. But we have a few things to talk about as far as water purification and filtering and things that you do for that. And so you have pre-purchased water filters, something along these lines, which are great.
Okay.
But what happens if you don't have one of these handy?
That's very true.
Well, you want to make your own water filter, and so you can use coffee filters or like a clean cotton t-shirt, things like that.
Cheesecloth, right?
Cheesecloth, to try to filter out as much of the dirty stuff as possible and then boil that water.
And you can also simulate essentially the ground, and then virtually then the groundwater. You can have different layers if you have a container, and if you want to go that far, you can get medium-sized rocks, large-sized rocks, and then soil, and then kind of pour your water out, and hopefully it'll come through with that cheesecloth.
That's right.
And the
A little
filter.
charcoal.
Yeah.
Yep. Charcoal goes a long way too.
That's what's in a lot of these filters is charcoal, so you can make a fire and put some of that in there and use that as your filter as well.
Charcoal does a lot. If you have an upset stomach, I mean, my mom used to just take a little bit of charcoal, all right, chew on that. I mean, I thought she was the craziest person in the world when I was little, but now it makes perfect sense.
But yeah, and so with all these techniques, think about even going into your backyard. If you have no water, but it rains and stuff, so if you dig down into your yard, you'll get some muddy water down in the bottom of that hole. And you can collect it up, again, try to filter it as best you can. But the idea is to be in a state of mind where you're thinking, okay, how can I get water? Can I set up a plastic tarp, out in the backyard, or an umbrella? Turn an umbrella upside down out during a rainstorm, you're going to collect up some water that way.
True. I mean, you'll never see the umbrella the same way again, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do for
and even the pots and pans like you had on the stove there a second ago, you could sit those out in the yard to gather rain water as well. I mean, anything that'll hold it could be a life-saving situation later on.
That's right. And the main thing is to think about these things ahead of time so that you don't have to worry when an actual emergency happens. You've already got something in mind of what you're going to do, and water is not going to be the most important thing to worry about.
Yep.
So when we come back from the break, we're going to have our competition, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, and like last time, I'm not going to brag about how good I'm going to do this time. I'll wait and see.
It was a little humbling, that last contest.
On the last episode, I kind of tooted my own horn, and Jason won.
That's all right, though. This one's going to be a fun one as well. Yeah. We always have a good time with that.
So let's pick a few things here.
Get your ass. You're not in here.
Yes, I am.
Move. Give it to him hard.
No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stabbing me with it? No.
They want to help, but don't know how.
Oh,
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Well, you're wrong.
I'm wrong. You're the one who misrepresented the facts.
Are you kidding?
Your proposal's ludicrous.
My proposal will go exactly the way I say it will.
My dead body.
I think somebody needs a timeout.
Oh, that's the power of one.
Civility. Pass it on.
One grain of sand can turn the tide.
That sounds awful. Seriously, awful.
but a lot better than last week.
We weren't born to follow.
Hi, welcome back to No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
I'm Jason Hill.
I'm James Blackburn.
And I'm Danny Linsky.
And on this segment, we've been talking about water and some of the things that you can do if you know in advance that the water is going to be shut off, but also things to do if you just walk home or go home and turn on the water and it's gone. You know, how to collect up water and then how to purify it. And we're going to have a competition in a few minutes, but we actually did a demonstration of one of our water filters. And we have some footage of that, so
yeah, some actual field footage.
Yeah, we should check that out.
Yeah, definitely.
And
so I'm really thirsty, and we're out of water.
Yes. Well, fortunately, we brought this handy dandy water filter, and so we found this nice stream. We can get some water out of here, filter it, and have some more drinkable water. And one of the nice things about this is that it was so lightweight, I could carry it with me easily on a hike.
Okay, so I'm unfamiliar with this filter system, and I'd love to learn how it works. So
okay,
show
well,
me.
First thing we do is we take one of our empty water bottles and we're going to fill it with the dirty stream water.
Right. And so even if the stream water looks clear, it's not clear, and it's not.
Correct. There can always be bacteria or organisms in there that we don't really want. Right. So we have that, and then you can just pour it into there.
I'm a master at this.
Don't spill it. Don't.
Not a drop. Well, especially if you're not fortunate enough to have a flowing stream, it might be all you have. So.
Absolutely. And then that just screws on top.
All right. Righty tighty. Oh my goodness. Leave it for the left-handed person to do it wrong. Right.
Okay. And then it's like a squirt bottle.
So you could you just drink it of this because it has this kind of top?
Yeah, you can just tilt it up and do that. Or you could just
we'll show you.
Turn that over and give it a little squeeze. Even pressure. And so what this does is it just filters out all the nasty stuff, and you'll be able to drink this directly from the bottle.
This is really nice. It works so fast.
It really does.
Try and boil the water if you end up having a fire.
And the fact that it's just so lightweight makes it really convenient when you're going out hiking. You don't have to carry a lot of extra gear.
Look how much clearer that one is.
Yep, that's good.
That is awesome.
So, nice, clear, tasty water.
Bottoms up.
As I shoot it out my nose. That's it. Hi, welcome back to No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
I'm Jason Hill.
James Blackburn.
Danny Linsky.
And I frequently have trouble drinking water. Always shooting it out my nose.
Yes, he does. Say it, don't spray it.
But, you know, that was a great demonstration of this one particular water filter. There's a lot of great ones on the market. And
I got one right here.
Yeah, and
check this puppy out too. It's got hoses on it and stuff, so you got, sorry, that's the wrong, the wrong button. But
you do know how to use it.
Yes.
I have used this before.
It's a pump, and you just...
Yeah, it basically, you know, this is your pump handle right here, and it will just filter the water out for me. So why don't we get started?
Let's test some different things on what we can do for contest. And I'm going to join in this time.
So is the assembly going to be part of the contest, or are we just going to get it assembled and then go?
Whatever works for you, man. I'll do it either way.
All right, well, let's just go with it.
All right, assemble part of the contest. All right, ready, set. Go.
Okay. We should have like some special music for this.
We should.
You've got a lot less things to hook up than me, man. But that's still part of it, though.
Of course, the danger with him, since he doesn't have any kind of a funnel.
We'll see how much of a mess
you should have a funnel. You should probably go slow and steady as you start to put this thing together. This water is...
Yeah, this one takes a few extra minutes, but if you're really thirsty, you won't care because...
it'll be completely worth it.
All right, check that puppy out right there.
Fits right on top. He's already... Look at that. His jar's already almost empty.
Wow, there's a lot of dirt in there.
This has got to look funny.
That looks...
There it goes. Look how clean that is. Woo! Hey, I'm winning this one. Hey,
she's cheating.
Oh, what is that thing? Nice, just nice, clean, filtered
The clear winner. Ba-dun-dun.
So how can people find out about us?
Well, I suppose that now we can finish up here. If you want to find out more about us, follow us on Facebook. So facebook.com/NoJokeSurvival. There you can ask us any kind of questions if you want to find out a little bit more about any of the products that we use. You can also visit our website at nojokesurvival.com, and there you can find links to our videos for all of this. Aw, we lamb.
And some of these other ones right here, we have things falling on the ground. Oh, I think I may have wet myself a little bit.
If you're up on a mountain, you may want to go down into a valley, you know, or observe the area. Some lime.
Oh my God, what is that? What is that, dude?
Probably a Sasquatch. They're all over the place.
This is important. You don't want to wipe your backside with something that might be poisonous.
What you want to do is literally just sit down and listen.
I kind of blew my way through there pretty badly. There was a lot of outtakes. It's back, dude! It's back! Ah! Where is it? There it goes!
That's awesome. You never know what you're going to find in the wild. I love it. Or some sort of area where you're going to find people and be rescued.
Oh, man, that hurts! And now for a blooper.
I literally got ants in my pants. While I was talking, I could feel them crawling down my butt crack.